like slaves anymore because we're not slaves. If you cannot control what you eat, then you cannot control what you feel. Eat your largest meals in the middle of the day, not the end of the day.
What part the homeostasis plays, you're on your way to healing yourself. The homeostasis is the internal environment where your body is at its ultimate functionality for healing. Just keep in mind that everything that is happening to you is happening for you.
All right. Thank you all so much for joining us. Happy Saturday to everyone. I am Carolyn Gentle, and you are in the Mind of Nature, hosted by Dr. Zarif, the nutritionist. Today's topic is how cooking affects the nutrient content of your food. So, like always, I know this is going to be a great live. We're streaming live on Facebook, we're on YouTube, and we are on Instagram. Pause for a minute right now, and if you haven't already, please share the live so we can have others be a part of the conversation. I know this is going to be just great information. Hello to all who have joined us already. If you haven't already, please go ahead and share the live so we can all be a part of the conversation. Zarif, why don't you come up on stage and join me here today? Hello.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's that time. But we've been waiting the whole week just to get back on here so we can talk about more things. How you doing, Karen? What's going on with you?
I'm doing great. Everything is going great. It's a Saturday. It's time to be out there in the sun. So as soon as I'm done, I'll be getting my vitamin D. How about you?
That's right. Yeah, thinking of getting healthier and healthier. Today, I just wanted to start off by saying thank you very much for being here. Everybody on Instagram, if you're looking at us on Facebook, and of course, live on YouTube on the Dr. Farid Zarif channel. Look, we want to go ahead and get started because we got a lot of things to cover. But before we do that, why don't you get some shout outs, Karen?
Absolutely. First of all, a shout out to Shirley Gentle Smart. Hey, Lily, thank you so much. Good morning. Good morning to you. And also, Allison Gentle. Good morning, Dad. Love you.
Hey.
Thank you so much for joining or tuning in. Thank you so much. Eclipse Soleil over on Instagram. Hey, Eclipse. Hey, good to see you.
Hey,
MJ. Let's see, MJ Army 816. Thank you so much for joining us over on Instagram. I'm not sure if you see anyone else. I had my notifications late, so I'm not sure.
Well, that's okay. We just want to welcome everybody, and we want everybody to be on the same page with us this morning. You know, Karen, one of the things that we are dealing with, especially when it comes to educating, elevating, and innovating, educating, all of these things are very, very important. But there's something that usually stands in the way, and that's some of the misinformation that many of us are, we have access to plenty of that because many people aren't doing what it really takes to not only understand certain things, but to have the evidence. Science is invented to present the evidence. She's looking like one eye is closed and one is open. What's going on? So let me, anyway. So, the evidence, that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about some of the things that are myths, and these things that are myths, these are some of the things that we constantly face when you're wanting to do better in nutrition. As much as it's so hard to get people to do this because it's about that euphoria. Remember, we were talking about, I just want to feel good. Yes. Well, I say that in a facetious way, but it is very, very serious. So when you talk about euphoria, you got to come with something really, really incredible. Our tool we're using nutritional science. Why? Because nutritional science has so much to do with our moment to moment life experiences. And that is that we want to enjoy life at the utmost. We want to definitely have a better understanding of what we're putting in our bodies, how it affects our bodies. We want to talk about long living, yeah, but moment to moment, that's all we can really control those. And we don't have too much control of that. But with the control of what we have in the way that we live, the families that we come from, the people we are related to, the environments that we live in, all of this is important. And
Yeah.
one of the things, again, when it comes to psychology, if you don't understand what you are, if you don't understand who you are, then what we're talking about as far as eating is so very easy to just use yourself as a dump
Hmm.
when you don't know how great you are,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So,
You know,
and
and go
that's,
ahead.
go ahead, go ahead. You're excited. Let's get you right. Right. All right.
Well, no, I was just gonna say because you mentioned misinformation, and that's very important because nowadays everyone and anyone can get online, and just give information out that they feel is correct information when in fact it's not. So that's why I tell people, or share you with others and tell others to share you as well. So that way we can minimize the misinformation that's out there because that it just causes us to go backwards if we're not hearing the right things and being able to take the action on the things that we're hearing, you know.
That's exactly right. We also, I think Black people got to stop waiting until their leaders or the people that are most powerful in the community wait until they die and then, oh yeah, remember what he said?
Right.
You ain't waiting around for me to die. I'm going to get mine now.
Right.
But that's what happens is that people, instead of us looking to our elders for more wisdom, we fall into that American trap where we just say, oh man, he just old, she's just old. And it's like, no matter what age, if you can take that information and make your life better and your children's life better, why not use it? But
Hmm.
we are so caught up in euphoria. So that's enough bashing on Black folks. I know that I'm Black. I know I love it. And I know that though most likely if you're here listening, you are too. So let's do something about that. It ain't a racist thing. I ain't, who got time for that? But you do know, if you've been living long enough, that we do need every advantage that's possible in order for us to even get on the playing field where things are equal. We're just definitely dealing with so many things that distract us from the thing that makes us a better people. So
Yeah.
let's go ahead and you ready to go over there? You ready?
Good to
All
go.
right. Yeah. Let's put on a seat belt and here we go. So first, what we're going to do here, of course, we're talking about how food is affected by cooking. And when we talk about that, we start off by talking about how the digestion begins in the mouth, even with the saliva. When you're dealing with carbohydrates, or you're secreting protease, or you're secreting lipase, these are some of the enzymes that help to break our food down. And that's what's constantly happening. Our food is constantly breaking down. So it starts with the chewing or masticating, and masticating mixed with the saliva. And the food then it travels down to the stomach, where it's mixed with stomach acid and digestive enzymes to further break the food down. Now, finally, in the duodenum, or the small intestine, absorbs the nutrients from the food into the bloodstream. Now, a couple of sessions ago, we talked about the metabolism, or the use or breakdown of water. This is sort of the same way that water is metabolized, except when it gets to the duodenum, is very fast. It doesn't have to go through the extrapolation of all the different fats and carbohydrates and proteins and so forth. So it's abbreviated. Now, cooking, on the other hand, is a process of applying heat to food to make it safer to eat. Yeah, heat is important. So we're going to get on to that as we continue. The cooking also makes the food more appealing and easier to digest. Now, cooking can also enhance the flavor and the texture of the food while killing off the harmful bacteria and parasites that may be present in raw food. Now, when it comes to raw food and it comes to food that's cooked, what's going on there? And I know you've heard it, especially from people that are constantly talking about, I eat raw food, or I eat vegan, or I eat vegetarian. These are called eating lifestyles. And the eating lifestyle that you choose for yourself should be the one that makes you feel the best. In other words, that you can work with the rhythm of the food. You love the taste of the food. And that's why some of us, like for instance, myself, I love Indian food, Eastern Indian dishes. I love it. Just I found that niche in their cuisine. I just think that it's a really wonderful plate. There's other food that I enjoy, but when it comes to food that I can eat practically every day, and that's the Eastern Indian dishes. Additionally, we cook our food um, to affect our health. Now, the reason that I say it like that is because when we are cooking, although cooking, if in high temperatures and for a long amount of time, that would overcook it. When you're overcooking, yes, you can start changing things up where that which was desirable is now dangerous. So as we talk about that today, more and more, we'll get deeper into it. But I want to give you an example. Like if you're frying food, and frying food can increase the amount of unhealthy fats. We talked about that before, and I'm going to talk about another substance that you should understand or have some idea about. And acrylamide is the name of that substance. And as we go on with this, we'll talk about it more and more. But I just want to remind you that it's important to consider the cooking method when making food choices for a healthy diet. Cooking is very important, and cooking can unleash some of the food or the nutrients that we need. For instance, like if we're talking about lycopene in a tomato, for instance, do you know that when you cook, or when that is processed into a tomato paste or tomato sauce, when you cook it in soups and so forth, it releases more lycopene because of the cooking process. Whereas you may take a pineapple, and our pineapple has bromelain in it. And now if you're eating this enzyme and you're cooking it, now it could, if you cook it too long, yes, you can interrupt, and you can also compromise the value of that nutrient. So remember, these are some of the things that you can take some really good notes with. The way that the cooking actually can improve the nutritional value of some foods. For instance, again, if a watermelon has lycopene in it. But if you take watermelon and you start frying it up, and I'm sure somebody has attempted to deep fry some watermelon, because people deep fry everything. And this is known to, or very popular in making things taste better. However, cooking can also cause certain nutrients to be lost or depleted, particularly if the food is overcooked or if it's boiled too long. This is when, like for instance, broccoli, some people just cook it until it's green. It's just, the cat in the hat green. And it's like, okay, what's going on here? People, that's just when we overdo it. But it's important to note that the cooking method used can also impact the nutrient value of food. For instance, steaming or roasting your vegetables can help you to retain more nutrients compared to boiling or frying. Additionally, cooking with certain oils and fats can also affect the nutritional value of food. For example, using olive oil instead of butter can increase the amount of healthy monounsaturated fats in the dish. The healthy monounsaturated fats, that is the olive or extra virgin olive oil versus saturated fat that you get from butter and margarine. That would also be one of the things you want to keep your your focus on. Cooking can provide a number of benefits for your digestive health, including making food safer and easier to digest. It also is very important to break down foods because this is how we get our fiber, making it more accessible to our bodies and reducing the risk of digestive discomfort. 9 out of every 10 people have some kind of digestive disorder. And this has been the same statistic over 60, 70, 80, 100 years. In addition to cooking, this cooking can enhance the nutritional value, and that's what we don't talk about enough. Can you actually enhance the nutritional value of certain foods? And again, I would go back to the example of the tomato. It can increase the amount of lycopene, and lycopene is a powerful antioxidant. This is really good for people, especially men, with your prostate health. This is really wonderful, and it can reduce the risk of prostate, the BPH, which is benign prostatic hyperplasia, or it also may reduce some of the risk of prostate cancer. The enzymes that can also enhance the quality of food. For instance, like if you have asparaginase, and that's asparaginase is a enzyme, and it can reduce the formation of acrylamide. Now, acrylamide, I'll get a little bit more into it, but acrylamide acrylamide can be mitigated by asparagine amino acid. And now this is one of the amino acids that is in a panoply of amino acids that actually make their components or units that make protein. Now, this is improving the taste and the reduction of the cancerous effect of acrylamide. The activity of enzymes depends on the thermostability and the structure of the enzyme, but the majority will remain active at 37 degrees Celsius. So if you are not cooking at very, very high temperatures, meaning it's super hot, then you may be eating food that tastes good, but it's also filled with nutrients. Now, the digestion is a complex process that occurs in our bodies every day. We can't get away from that, whether you're eating or not eating, but it's allowing us to break down our food and eat the food with the nutrients that we need and the nutrients that we extrapolate from the food that's breaking down. But does the cooking make your food easier to digest? Well, we're going to explore that science behind digestion and cooking and their relationship together. The importance of knowing processed food. Now, when we talk about processed foods, you can do anything to food. If you washing food, is processed. you're processing food. If you cut an apple into slices, you're processing the food. If you're adding color or you're adding sweetener to water, you're making a sweet tea or something of that nature, all of this is technically processed. But when we get to processed foods, there's generally thought of as inferior to unprocessed foods. So when you're listening to that, it's like, I don't want any processed foods. Just like people say, no, if it has chemicals in it, I don't want it. What they really mean is that I don't want to have any of the derogatory chemicals in my body, because everything is made from chemicals, including you. So the term may suggest that a packaged food item contains many ingredients, perhaps even artificial colors, the flavors, or other chemical additives. Now, often referred to as convenience or pre-prepared foods, processed foods are suggested to contribute to obesity and overweightness. And this is it's an epidemic now. And the rise in prevalence of chronic diseases like heart disease and diabetes. However, the definition of processed food varies widely depending on the source. And the source that I'm using today is the United States Department of Agriculture, that we know as USDA. And it defines a processed food as the food that has undergone any changes to its natural state. So if it's an orange and you cut it in different slices, that's also processed. If it's an orange and you take it and you make orange juice with it, that's also processed. The big problem that you'll find later is refined, because when that food is changed from its normal or its healthy or original state and is turned into a flake, or it's turned into some kind of cereal, or it's turned into some kind of jelly or preservative, then you will see all of the work that's put into the foods that we eat. And some of those, like the raw agriculture commodity, subjected to washing and cleaning, milling, cutting, chopping, heating, pasteurizing, almost the same thing, right? Blanching, cooking, canning, freezing, drying, dehydrating, mixing, packaging, and all those other procedures. And that's what it goes through. If you think about when we have to feed all of the people that we have on earth, imagine that you'll see why, especially some of the things that are done in order to keep us healthy. Okay, how are we doing? I'm just going to check in here. I want to thank you for being here this morning. We're coming up on our half hour point already, but I'm going to share a few more things before we continue. One of the things that I talked about at the very opening of today's session is that there are many misconceptions. So one of the common conceptions is that raw food is always better for digestion than cooked food. What do you think about that? Put your comments down. What do you think about it right now? Because I want to go there when we go back to our half hour check-in. I want to see what you're thinking about it. Wow, some raw foods such as fruits and vegetables can be very beneficial for digestion. Others, such as raw meat and eggs, can actually be dangerous to eat due to the risk of bacterial contamination, parasites, and this is really important. Additionally, the cooking certain foods can make them easier to digest and more nutritious than the raw counterparts. So just because you're eating something raw doesn't necessarily mean that it's better. If I may say also, let's stop separating. Every time we learn something new, we like, this is better than that. This is better than that. This is another choice, my friends. It is another choice. It isn't that it got to be black or it got to be white. There is a huge gray spot in most theories and most sciences, and it isn't exact in many cases. It's not something that may be even common. But the misconception is that adding this is another misconception, that is, besides just the cooking and the raw versus the cooking. But another misconception is adding spices and seasonings to food that can cause digestive issues. While some people may have sensitivities to certain spices, in general, adding spices and seasonings can actually aid in digestion. For example, ginger. Ginger has been shown to help reduce nausea, and when people are nauseous in the morning, or they're nauseous, at any, but usually people are in the earlier part or after they had something to eat, even the way that food mixes. But being nauseous and bloating, that can definitely be something that the spices like ginger, which is a great anti-spasmodic, it helps to reduce it. While turmeric or turmeric has the anti-inflammatory properties that can help the digestive issues such as irritable bowel syndrome. So we have a lot of things that we can eat to make eating a better experience. And with that, we get the better, we get the most out of the foods that we eat. And that's very important, because when we get the most out of the foods that we eat, we're doing something right. Okay. Well, let's come on back up, Care, and let's see if we can get some questions here in the meantime. But Carrie, give me some feedback on what did you think about what I just shared?
I think it was great information. It's funny when you said when you learn about something new, people say this is better than that. It reminds me of when I decided to switch over to being plant-based. That's a huge jump from going from eating meat your entire life, and then switching off to not eating any meat and not eating any dairy. And I'm like, yeah, I made that great decision. And then you have someone else that may come up and say, oh, well, that's great, but you need to actually not cook your food. It needs to be raw vegan now, not just, or I'm not vegan, but plant-based. But it needs to be raw. That's even better. And I know they have even more, or I don't want to say more, but more intense eating after raw. So there's a lot of different categories to where it's like, oh, okay, I thought I was making a great decision, but now I'm being told that that's not good enough. I have to, take it a step further. So I think it's great that you mentioned to just have be there, just really starting where you are. You've always mentioned that before, starting where you are and being able to just make that choice and go from there. So you're not on stage right now, Dr. Zarif. I'm not sure if you meant to do that. There you
Yeah,
go.
well, I just want to give you a little light. You deserve it. Yeah.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
That's a good point that you made, and that's one of the habits that I've noticed that we do a lot, is that we get caught up in things like splitting. It's just like, if you things that come out that people just learn, instead of saying this is another choice, what happens is it's like, no, I don't do that. I don't do that. It's this thing. What is the deal? Why does it have to always be competitive? That's
Mhm.
a choice that a person can pick up, or a choice that they can reject. So this is very, very important. I really want you all to hear us when we're saying that these are things that can better your eating situation. And I'm talking about for the children to come after us. I'm talking about generations. I'm talking about right now, if your grandmother or your grandfather is sick, or your great grandmother or great grandfather, is somebody sick in your home now, these are some of the things that you can put to work right now.
Yeah.
So we really want to. This isn't just something that we just want, like, well, we have anything to do today. We have plenty things to do, just like you do. But we know that if you take these on and stop BSing with the food, because what I mean by BSing is just like, while you're saying, yeah, you're right, and chopping down a hamburger, we got to stop those kinds of behaviors. I'm going to go ahead and do a shout out. Denise Kane is in the house. Thank you so much for being here. Always beautiful to see Denise Kane is all that in a bag of chips. She's a beautiful, beautiful person. My Leah, thank you for being here today, and say hello. What's going down in Vegas? I know you holding it down. Always glad to see you. Suzette is also in the house. Thank you very much for being here, Suzette. Story time. I've known Suzette for over 30 years, and she's loved children then, and she still continues to run her nursery. I knew her mother. I did Suzette's. Well, I don't want to go that deep, but anyway, I've known her a long time, and I'm so very, very glad that you're here today. Let's go over here. I want to say hello to a few other people before we go back. Let me see if we can get this back right. Okay, so MJ Army, we're going to 8116, 816. Thank you very much for being here, and really appreciate you being here, Eclipse Soleil. I love that name. Thank you so much. Grand Rising to you all. And author Natasha Smith, thank you very much for being here. It's really, really great to see you. Want everybody, if you want more information as we continue to educate, as we continue to elevate and motivate, we want you to become a follower. Not so much a Zarifian. That's those that's been with me a long time, but we always give you invitation. You always have an invitation there. But what I would love for you to do is make sure that you subscribe. We're doing great because you've been so wonderful in helping us get all of these. We're going. We're not going to brag on the number yet, but we are definitely on our way to we're not going to be brag ours anyway, but we just want to say thank you, guys. We really appreciate you taking time to say, hey, let me do this, because that helps us, gets more attention. More people want to know, the more people that that subscribe, more people say, hey, let me take a chance to see what they're doing over there. Let's go ahead and push forward, but I'll do that after Care. Go right ahead, Care.
Well, you asked the question and we had some answers. So I just wanted to go ahead and highlight those as far as raw foods being, what was it? Foods
healthier than cooked foods?
Yes. So okay. You have my Leah says, I think that raw food is better, but that's my opinion. In regards to that, let me see here. Suzette says, I feel better when I eat raw food, but I like to eat cooked food also. And yeah. I would agree with that. That's how I am too. Denise says, I think it depends on the type of food. Most vegetables can be consumed raw, but I enjoy both raw and cooked foods. So I think we're kind of all on the same page as far as both of them, raw and cooked foods. And I that's how I am as well. Just want to give a shout out to Yolanda Rogers. Good morning.
Ooh, Big Mama in the house.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us, Yolanda. So much appreciate you being here and your shares. I see them over here. So I just wanted to highlight those. Let me go over to Instagram and just make sure I'm not missing anything over there. And we are good. All right, Dr. Zari, good to go.
I wanted to say thank you so much. Thank you so much, Care. Really appreciate that report. I know that these individuals, I really appreciate everybody with what you were sharing. Oh, we have I Love Nisi, I think.
I Love Nini. Hey, that's Stephanie. Good morning, Steph.
Oh, okay.
That's family in Texas.
Oh, family. That was up. What's up? I love it. I love it. You see, I always squeeze myself. I'm here, I'm in here. But it's good to see you. And Stephanie, glad that you didn't get blown away by the water or the air or all the stuff that you've been dealing with in Texas.
That
Uh,
weather. Yeah.
so yeah, that weather is something else. So shall we? Let's go right ahead, everybody. Fasten your seatbelts, sit back down, get you something to drink because I'm going to share with you some of the things that may be a really wonderful addition to what you're already doing. Now, I'm going to go through this not so not so much in depth. I'm going to just kind of, but I'm just going to give you some ideas when it comes to smoke points, because we're talking about cooking. And most people, when you're cooking, you're just cooking and just heating up the grease, but understanding or getting, how do you know that is too hot? Well, what happens is when the oil starts to smoke and you start to burn the fat, and you get more and more smoke there. That is called the smoking point. While we associate sesame seed oil with Asian dishes and olive oil with Mediterranean food, the flavor profile is just one element of choosing cooking oil. Equally, if not more important, is selecting an oil that will not break down or burn during your cooking process. Cooking oils smoke and burn after they smoke and they burn after different temperatures based on the monosaturated fat levels and their refined process. So the way that they're processed, and sometimes the packaging, the way they want a product to look, the way that they mix some of the polyunsaturated, all of this is definitely a process. Choosing the oil with the appropriate smoke point is both a fire prevention and food safety measure. So we break down the smoke points of the popular cooking oil so that you can protect your customers, and you also can protect your staff from the toxins, burns, your family, and so forth. But spread that news because a lot of people are definitely being affected by overdoing it in some of the dirty oils that's used, like the peanut oils that they use out on the street. And I know it's fun. I know how it feels when you're sitting down eating with somebody that you enjoy, or enjoying the company of others, and you're eating food and you're drinking your beverages. It is meant to be that way, to have fun, to enjoy it. But when we overdo it and we're not aware of it, that's where we're hurting ourselves. For instance, like some of the deep fried foods, they're notorious sources of free radicals. Now, the free radicals are when you have these cells, they're unpaired. These radicals, which are highly reactive because they have at least one unpaired electron that can pretty much injure the cells in the body, because that other that free radical is damaging all of the healthy cells, because it wants to be paired with that other electron, so that of course it doesn't die. So, and we also went to a little, for those of you into medicine, or if you're into science, remember we went over apoptosis. The antioxidants in the oil and vegetables can get used up during frying and stabilizing the cycle of oxidation. The next point, this is, I wanted to bring up this earlier, but I wanted to go into fact or fiction about these things. Does the cooking kill the vitamins in your food? Now, this is what you hear a lot about, the cooking actually killing the foods or the nutrients in the foods. Well, let's look at that. The vegetables are always more nutritious when eaten raw, right? What do you think? Write it down in your comments. Well, in reality, while cooking can cause the loss of some vitamins and minerals, it can also make it easier for our body to absorb them. So, which veggies are best eaten raw, and when should you get cooking? All right, let's go to raw veggies are healthier than cooked ones. So the cooked carrots, spinach, mushrooms, asparagus, cabbage, peppers, and many of the other vegetables, they also supply more antioxidants such as carotenoids and ferulic acid to the body that can then they that's more than if they were raw or when they were raw. Now, when it comes to boiling and steaming, the boiling and steaming better preserves antioxidants. Now, don't get it mixed up with earlier when we talking about boiling and frying and so forth and broiling. Uh, this is very important here that the boiling and the steaming better preserves the antioxidants, particularly carotenoids. That's that orange color that you will find in carrots, also in zucchini and broccoli. This is it preserves more oxidants than frying, although boiling was deemed the best. The researchers studied the impact of various cooking techniques on compounds such as carotenoids, ascorbic acid, and polyphenol. So you see, although we've been told that when you cook these foods, that you actually are killing or you're getting rid of the nutrients, that is a misnomer. That's a misconception. Only when you cook it for a long amounts of time, something that you can cook, for instance, like rice. Let's look at rice, for instance, and let's go to brown rice. This is supposed to be the healthiest. Even if you take brown rice and you cook this for, let's say, I usually set my time for 45 minutes for rice, brown rice. Yours might be a little different. But if I take it and I set it for an hour and 15 minutes instead of 45 minutes, what happens now, you turn the rice into mush. It's just like a whole pot of starch because it's overdone. So it's the same thing as if you're eating other foods that you overdo, and then you end up eating these foods and you're eating too much of it. It can cause problems, and this can make you ill and also increase your risk of disease. Thank you. You are listening to The Mind of Nature. I'm Dr. Zarif, the nutritionist, and we're here to educate, to elevate, and to innovate. And we're glad that you're here today as we continue to go on. We talked about the effects of processing and storage of food. Now, some vitamins are more stable. This is really important. Some vitamins are more stable. That means less affected by processing than others. Water-soluble vitamins is a B group and C. B group are those, pantothenic acid, niacin, folic acid, and so forth. All of those are in the B group, and then C, there's only one vitamin C, ascorbic acid. And then you have the fat-soluble vitamins, which is vitamin A, D, and K. During the food processing and storage, most unstable vitamins include, I'll go down this again, folate and thiamine, vitamin C. But the more stable vitamins include niacin, which is vitamin B3, vitamin K, that's you when hypercoagulation, that's very important for our blood. Vitamin D, especially vitamin D3. Vitamin D is really abundant. Vitamin D2 is very abundant. But when it comes down to the calciferol that our bodies use, we use it in the form of D3. That's the best for the body, okay? And remember, you don't have to overdo it. It is a fat soluble, so it's going to be stored in the lipids. Then we go have biotin, which is vitamin B7, which is another part of the B group, along with pantothenic acid. Okay, so when it comes to processing the affecting nutrient content, a variety of things that can happen during the growing, the harvesting, the storage, and preparing of food that can affect its nutritional content. Processes that expose foods to high levels of heat, light, or oxygen can cause the greatest nutrient loss. Okay. And you will see that in a lot of stores. They'll take some foods are in a real dark bottle, real dark blue, or you'll have something like this. See that dark bottle? And even in smaller things like this, see how dark that is? And so it's protecting against the light. You have those foods or nutrients that are unstable. Now, the Institute of Food Technologists includes the additional processing terms like storing, filtering, fermenting, extracting, concentrating, microwaving, and packaging. Now, according to these standards, virtually all foods sold in the supermarket would be classified as processed because all of them have hands on. So everything there, unless they're just growing wheatgrass in the back, or they have wheatgrass there, and they're like just extrapolating the juice from the wheatgrass. So when these are just terms to get, and when you hear process, you would get a better idea. But when you hear refined, remember that's usually more of the derogatory term used for how food is actually treated. You know, when you get into food husbandry, which is a science in itself, you even understand more. Now, let's go on, because food begins to deteriorate and loses its nutrients as soon as it's harvested. Even apples in the produce aisle undergo 4 or more processing steps before being sold to the customer. So when you go there and you buy an apple, there are other things that are done to that apple before it just goes right and you start packing it. That's why in practice it's helpful to differentiate between the various degrees of food processing. Okay, now I'm just going to go down here just a little bit more. Are you having fun? I know that this is really helping a lot of you. And I'm just going to go over a couple of more things, let you out into this beautiful weather. It's incredible. Some of the veggies are best eaten raw. And well, let's just listen up. Cooking can reduce the nutritional content of vegetables. It can be a particular problem with vitamin C and the B vitamins and minerals like potassium. Why? Again, because they're not as stable as the other vitamins and minerals. And because they are water soluble, so they leach out into the cooking water. And that's fine in soups and stews because you consume the water, but it's a problem if you throw the water away. Now, kale, and that's called pot liquor. Have you heard that before? Pot liquor, or the juice from what you're cooking, has all of the goodies in it in certain foods. Like when you're eating certain foods that you cook, and then it makes a real nice broth, and you drink it. That in itself is just like drinking an elixir that will boost your immune system. So food in itself, the way that you prepare it, can be very medicinal and very, very helpful. But you want to get the knowledge so that you'll understand how to make those choices. Now, when it comes to kale, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, some of the courgettes, spinach, peas, kale, um, some of the cabbages, Brussels sprouts. They all have a good amount of vitamins in all of them. But the heat also degrades these vitamins. The heat degrades these vitamins. And in some ways, other foods are denatured. We'll go into denaturing later, but this is so that the cooked vegetables are rich with uh, uh, they're rich with these vegetables at that stage when before they're cooked. Now, if you take a potato and you cook it, then you have vitamin C, for instance, in a potato. When you cook it, you may lose a little bit of that vitamin C because vitamin C can be unstable in your food. But if you boil it or you cook that potato also gets rid of that, there's the different built-in or born pesticides, and it's usually in the color green. You see the potato when it's green. Well, we don't want to eat that. It won't kill you, but it will definitely make you very sick if you eat too much of it. Okay. All right. I got to stick to the rules here. It's five. We have 5 minutes left. I'm going to see if I can take some questions, and then we'll be on our way. So thank you very much for being here, everybody. We got a lot, way more things that we could talk about, but because we honor your time and we appreciate you being here, we want to make sure that we stick to what we say we're going to do, and that is to get out on time. So let's go back to Carolyn Gentos in the house. Carolyn, you want to read if we have any questions or comments so that we can, yeah, so we can do our thing.
Yes. You mentioned pot liquor, and I'm not familiar with it, but Yolanda did mention that she likes pot liquor on her cornbread.
Ah, all right, Yolanda. Yeah, good. That's great.
Yeah, I'm not aware of it at all. So there it is. Another something to add to
To your
my
knowledge.
list
Add
of
to your knowledge.
exactly.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say thank you to everyone that joined us here today in the Mind of Nature. Our mission is to bring awareness, listen to your feedback, and go ahead and take action on the information that you heard here today. If you have not already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is Dr. Farid Zarif. Thank you so much, Dr. Zarif. Great information today. I know whenever you say, oh man, just one more, when you're adding on to it, you always want to have more information for us, but just the information that you shared alone is really great and really appreciate it. So
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm really so happy that we're getting more and more people, and thanks to the people that I hear you spreading the word. We owe a huge thank you to Yolanda Rogers. She is also known lovingly as Big Mama to we Detroiters. She's in Dearborn and Dearborn, Michigan. And thank you for being here. And thank you for being consistent because she gets those names. She tells people about it. She stands up for what we do. And I really, really appreciate that. My Leah, the same. My Leah is just extraordinary. This sister right here, I'm going to have her on the show so we can listen to some of the things that her purpose for being healthy and the things that she has incorporated in her body, her life, her eating lifestyle, her daily regimen. And I think you'll find it quite interesting, really incredible. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here. Really appreciate it. And before you go, Carrie, any closing comments?
just wanted to go over to Instagram and say hello to Arabic Sweet Princess.
Hey,
Hello to you.
hi, that's my sweetie pie. That's That's my wonderful daughter. Of course, I am so glad to. Thank you, Amira. Really appreciate you being here. I love you. I love you. I love you. And uh,
Yes.
I'm
Just
glad
thank
to.
you. Thank you to everyone. I see Ron OJ just joined us. Hasten say good morning, everyone. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. No, you're not sure if you're just getting here, but we are wrapping up. But of course, the replays are always available on YouTube. So you can go ahead and check out the replays always of this show and any other show we've done before. It's always going to be stored over on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe if you have not already.
I want everybody to join me, if you will. I want to say a prayer for my brother Ron OJ. He's been really, really having it hard dealing with dialysis. He's had, all kinds of different symptoms with diabetes. He's just been through a whole lot of things. So, if you will, everybody, just let's say a prayer that Ron OJ is lifted in the greatness of spirit and all of the wonderful things that he needs in order for him to have a thriving life. May he continue to improve in his health. May he be loved and acknowledged. May he also understand that he's equal to any challenge. And so it is, and amen. Thank you so much, everybody.
Amen.
Really
Absolutely.
want to did I hear amen?
Amen.
All right.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen, brother. Amen. Amen.
So that's my dear brother. That's it. So Ron, we
Right
love
with
you,
you,
man.
Dr.
We love
Ron
you.
OJ. Absolutely.
We definitely love you, and all the people that took out time. I really wanted to really thank you. Goodness, look at all those uh, remarks down here. I wanted a special shout out to Shirley Gentle Smart. Thank you very much for being here, and what you are such a wonderful example. Thank you very much for being here. All right, much love to you, one and all.
Oh,
And
I'm sorry. One comment I just wanted to highlight. Yolanda said I sold one of your books at the tire shop.
oh, go girl, shoot, get that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I
Right.
appreciate it. You just saved a life. That's
Yes.
great. Here it
Mhm.
is, right here. Bam. That's what you want to get, y'all. And this is just something to have that you put it, get the book. All
There
right.
you go.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everybody. We love you, and we'll see you here, same place, same time
Eight.
next week at 8 a.m. PST.
There you go. Yes.
Okay. All right. Take care. Peace. I'm Dr. Zarif, the nutritionist.